It was like a beautiful jewel in the middle of a vast ocean. Blue waters surrounded lush landscapes. After an arduous journey across a seemingly endless sea, this wondrous sight must have ignited cheers of joy. It was what would later become known as Hawaii. 1,500 years ago, it was Polynesian voyagers who came upon this jewel in the sea. They became the first known settlers of Hawaii after navigating the ocean using only the stars to guide them. For many years, battles were fought for control over different parts of the island. In 1795, King Kamehameha gained control over the islands after many battles. The Hawaiian monarchy first begins that same year that Kamehameha gained control, 1795. From 1795 to 1874, the Kamehameha dynasty reigns over Hawaii, and in 1810, King Kamehameha I famously unites the Hawaiian Islands. In 1820, the first missionaries arrive in Hawaii. In the 1830s, foreigners begin to build and grow the sugar industry in Hawaii. In 1835, the first sugar plantation opens on Kauai. The Hawaiian Islands are quickly recognized for its elite agricultural land, and agriculture soon becomes Hawaii's main economic force. This economic impact was not lost on the Americans, who quickly began to realize that Hawaii's sugar resources could lead to newfound riches. The influence of these outsiders started to change Hawaii's way of life drastically. In 1840, the settlers establish a constitutional monarchy that takes away a lot of the Hawaiian monarch's authority. September 2nd, 1838. A little girl was born on this day to an eminent chiefess of the name Keohokalole, Lydia Liliuokalani Kamakaeha. This was the name Keohokalole gave her daughter, and Keohokalole served as an advisor to King Kamehameha III. As a child, Lydia was declared eligible for the throne of the Hawaiian Kingdom by Kamehameha III. In 1874, reigning monarch of Hawaii, William Charles Lunalilo dies, leaving no heirs to the throne. This same year, David Kalakua, Liliuokalani's older brother, is elected as Lunalilo's successor. It marked the end of the Kamehameha dynasty and the beginning of the Kalakua dynasty. In 1877, Lydia's youngest brother, W.P. Leleohoku, dies. His passing left Lydia as the presumptive heir to the throne. After becoming crown princess, Lydia begins to go by her royal name, Liliuokalani. In 1881, King Kalakua embarks on his extended journey around the world, leaving Liliuokalani in power. During this time, an epidemic of smallpox is spread across Hawaii, killing many Hawaiians in the process. The source of the disease was soon discovered to be Chinese laborers that were brought by ship to work in Hawaii's sugarcane fields, the island's economic backbone. With the Hawaiian citizens in mind as Liliuokalani's main priority, she immediately closes the port. This decision angers many wealthy sugarcane growers, mostly of American missionary descent. Historical researcher Glenn Grant states, "The outpouring of protest by the business community was tremendous, but she stood her ground. I think she clearly demonstrated that the welfare of her people was far more important than the profits for the business community." In 1887, King Kalakua is held at gunpoint and forced to sign a restrictive constitution. This constitution was called the Bayonet Constitution, and it limited the power of the Hawaiian people and monarch. Because of the new constitution, Pearl Harbor becomes a U.S. naval base, and for the next 4 years, sugar exports from the U.S. skyrocket. This causes sugar planters to begin to broaden their domination of Hawaiian affairs. In 1891, Kalakua dies of Bright's disease. Lydia Liliuokalani Kamakaeha takes the throne the same year. 2 months into her reign, and Queen Liliuokalani is faced with a major problem. The American government revokes Hawaii's favored position on the American sugar market.
This creates a major problem for the Hawaiian sugar growers. They have only one outlet now, one chance to survive. They have got to become part of the United States.
At the time, Liliuokalani's main worry was revoking the Bayonet Constitution of 1887. She wanted to regain more rights for the monarchy and the Hawaiian people. On January 14, 1893, agitation on both sides of the political fence provokes Queen Liliuokalani to inform her cabinet that she wants to replace the Bayonet Constitution with a new constitution. But within Liliuokalani's cabinet, two of her ministers, both of American descent, betray her and inform the annexationists of her plans. With tensions rising, Liliuokalani attempted to issue a proclamation that stated that any changes she wanted could be made within the structure of the current constitution. However, this act was too late, as these businessmen were already setting their plan in action. 2 days later, on January 16, 1893, 162 U.S. Marines and sailors land in Honolulu, Hawaii, taking their positions at Iolani Palace, surrounding the palace and trapping the Queen. On January 17th, using force, the Committee of Safety issues their proclamation deposing the Queen and her cabinet and establishing a new provisional government. With no way out, Liliuokalani surrenders her power to the United States government. In March of 1893, in Washington, D.C., President Grover Cleveland is inaugurated. The annexation treaty sent to Washington by the leaders of the provisional government was immediately declined by Cleveland. Instead, an investigation authorized by an envoy named James Blunt proved that America was in violation of international law. Blunt's solution was to restore Liliuokalani, but when the provisional government was asked by President Cleveland to step down in favor of the Queen, the government officials refused and sandbagged the palace in preference for a fight. Although shocked, Cleveland refused to use violence against American troops. Instead, he sent the matter to Congress, which did not act to restore the Queen or annex the islands. In 1894, the members of the provisional government formed themselves into the Republic of Hawaii and elect Sanford B. Dole, previous leader of the provisional government, as president. On July 2, 1894, their new constitution is ratified. The constitution obligated its voters to swear allegiance to the republic. Foreigners who supported the overthrow were allowed to vote, but strict requirements prevented most Hawaiians and all Asians from voting. On January 6, 1895, a man named Robert Wilcox led a counter-revolution along with many other Hawaiians to restore the Queen after months of planning. Sadly, the attempt was quickly shut down. On January 16, 1895, Liliuokalani is arrested at Washington Place, her private home, taken to her former palace, and imprisoned in an upstairs room. Many leaders of the attack were sentenced to death and long prison sentences. Later that year, she is put on trial and found guilty of having knowledge of the revolution, though she denies all accusations. She was sentenced to 5 years of hard labor and fined $5,000. Although none of these punishments were carried out, she remained imprisoned in a small room on the second floor of the Iolani Palace. In December of 1897, a petition of 21,269 signatures of Hawaiian citizens who were against annexation was submitted to Congress, but it was an unsuccessful effort. Our story comes to an end in the year 1898. In 1898, the Spanish-American War breaks out. This is what makes the annexationists triumph. Hawaii becomes very valuable to the U.S. as a naval base. New President William McKinley is convinced and approves the annexation.
On the actual day of annexation, the Queen shuttered herself at Washington Place, surrounded by her court, by the princes, by her ladies-in-waiting, and they had a solemn picture taken. On the other side at Iolani Palace, there were sharpshooters pointed out. There was still tension in the air that something might happen. But when the Hawaiian flag was lowered, it was said that it was cut into small little 2 to 3 inch ribbons and given out as tokens of remembrance to the sons and daughters of the missionary families, so that they could keep those as little tokens of their great victory over the Hawaiian kingdom and the end of the tyranny of the Hawaiian monarchy.
Liliuokalani would live for another 20 years after annexation. By the time of her passing, Liliuokalani had become an embodiment of the Hawaiian kingdom. Her bravery and courage in the face of huge obstacles is truly legendary. Her love for her homeland and her devotion to her people is an example of leadership that is worthy of discussion and remembrance for generations.